Alright, what's happening everybody? It's your boy Keenan. Welcome to the Pro Football Exclusive College Football Blog. We are on week 6 of the college football season, and I have some great games for you this upcoming week. And I think there's going to be a couple of upsets that we're going to view over this next weekend. Now I have some great key matches, and I'm here to give you my predictions of all these games. Now I'm going to start with tonight's matchup between number 13 USC at Utah. Now this is going to be a pretty hard game for the Utes. They have a good defense, but their offense is just horrendous. They have been struggling this season, and they really need to get that ground game together. I had a lot of high hopes, as I mentioned before, for John White, but he's having an injury-prone season. Now USC, they do have one loss against a good defense from the Stanford Cardinals, and they're playing against another good defense for the Utah Utes. And the reason why I had to call out this game, because this game could be an upset. Last season, Utah barely lost at USC, and I think having the home field advantage, they can pull this upset. They just need to have good momentum on the offensive side. But I'm still going to go with the Trojans in this one. They just have too many weapons, as I mentioned before, and Utah just has a horrendous offense, and I don't have any faith in them at all. I have to go with USC in this Pac-12 matchup. On Saturday, going to head over to Saturday. There's going to be a good 12 o'clock matchup, noon matchup between the UConn Huskies against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. This is going to be a good Big East showdown. UConn's actually 3-2, while Rutgers is undefeated. UConn definitely is going to be pounding the rock, running the football with Lyon McCombs and that running attack. But one thing they really need help with is quarterback Chandler Whitmore. He needs to be a better effective passer in this game. He does have 4 touchdowns this season, which is very low, but those 4 touchdowns came from the last 2 games, and he needs to have a good effective effort on the passing game, and that's going to be key for the UConn Huskies. Now for Rutgers, they have the best defense in the Big East Conference. I have to go with Rutgers in this one, staying undefeated. Next game I need to talk about, upset alert. Penn State is going to be hosting number 24 Northwestern. Northwestern, everybody, they are undefeated at 5-0. This is a good team led by Coach Pat Fitzgerald. Now they're going to be coming into Beaver Stadium against this Penn State Nittany Lions teams, and I think this is going to be an upset. So this is going to be one of my upset games this week in week 6. I'm going to have to go with Penn State in this one because they have the momentum. They won 3 games in a row after starting the season off 0-2. I think they're going to give Northwestern their first loss. Next game I need to talk about, Virginia Tech at North Carolina. This is going to be a good ACC showdown. Now for Virginia Tech, they're a lot better than that 3-2 mark. Same with North Carolina. Both these two teams suffered a couple of close losses, but Virginia Tech has just been struggling and been falling apart. And I've pretty much seen Logan Thomas enough this season. I do not believe that he can carry this team and carry the load overall. Last season, they did make it to the ACC championship, but because of running back and ACC Player of the Year running back David Wilson, and he had a lot of help on that running game for Logan Thomas. Now he has some good weapons on the passing game with Davis and Fuller, but that running game is key for that offense for Virginia Tech, and they're going to have to run the ball effectively against a good North Carolina team. Now for North Carolina, they have more weapons overall, especially at running back with Giovanni Bernard and Blue, and they have a good quarterback with Brent Renner, who has over 1,400 yards passing already this season. And I think I'm going to have to go with the Tar Heels in this one. They do have the home field advantage, and like I said, Virginia Tech has just been falling apart, and I'm losing a lot of faith in the Hokies. Next game I need to talk about, a good SEC showdown in Gainesville between the number 10 Florida Gators against the number 4 LSU Tigers. LSU struggled just a little bit last week against FCS division team Towson, and I think they're going to bounce back from what they suffered last week and get that momentum back against the Florida Gator team. I have to go with LSU in this one, but this is going to be a great showdown. Florida finally making that national prominence back again with Coach Will Muschamp cracking the top 10. This is going to be a good defensive matchup, but I'm going to have to go with the LSU Tigers because I think their defense overall is more dominating, more powerful, and has a little bit more experience, especially with that D-line against the O-line for the Florida Gators. Next game we need to talk about, another upset alert. Georgia Tech is going to be traveling to number 15, Clemson. Clemson bounced back last week in a big win against the Boston College Golden Eagles, and now they're going to be placing against a good Yellow Jacket team. I think they're a little bit better than what they are. They suffered a close loss to Miami, and I think they can have a chance of bouncing back this week. Sammy Watkins is not going to be available for the Clemson Tigers, but they still have leading receiver DeAndre Hopkins, and I already mentioned before about Andre Ellington, the running back for the Tigers. He's a little bit underrated. He has good speed, and I think he's due for another good game. Same with Taj Boyd. I'm going to have to go with the Clemson Tigers over the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, but Georgia Tech can run the football very effectively, and I think they can have a good game against the Clemson Tigers, but they need to pass the ball well with Ted Washington at quarterback. They need to pass the ball and give you a couple of trick plays throwing the football, and that could be a big effect against the Clemson defense, but I have to go with Clemson overall. They do have the home field advantage in this matchup. Next game we need to talk about, another upset alert, and this is going to be my upset game of the week. Number 17, Oklahoma at Texas Tech, and it's going to be at Lubbock, like I said, at Lubbock for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They're led by quarterback Seth Duhey, who had orchestrated a good upset defeat last season against OU at Norman. Now, since 2003, the Oklahoma Sooners has not won in Lubbock, and I think that trend is still going to continue in this matchup. Now, I mentioned before about USC and Stanford. I thought Stanford was not going to get that number over USC, and I thought the Trojans were going to beat Stanford, but Stanford still owns USC, same as the Red Raiders against the Oklahoma Sooners at Lubbock since 2003. I was actually going to start going with OU, but I have to go with Texas Tech. I think they're going to pull the upset again. Now, the keys for this matchup, I'm going to start with Oklahoma. They really need to get the rhythm going with Landry Jones at quarterback. He's been struggling a lot this season. He's pretty much not 100% in the game and 100% eye to eye with offensive coordinator Jais Heupel for the Oklahoma Sooners. I think Landry's a great quarterback, but I don't understand why he's been struggling this season. Maybe because of the Heisman hype. Maybe it was just too much notoriety, and he just probably couldn't take it, but he is still a great quarterback, and I'm shocked with his performance thus far this season. I had him actually probably getting a chance of going to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony, but he's actually out of the race for me. But he could bounce back with this matchup, but he needs to have a rhythm in the passing game. Now, for Texas Tech, they need to confuse Landry Jones on the defensive side, change the schemes up a little bit, press the receivers every once in a while to confuse Landry Jones, because like I said, he's been struggling going eye to eye with Josh Heupel, and Josh Heupel even admitted that they're not on the same page yet on the offensive side with Landry Jones, and that because of that mental instability, that could be a problem for Oklahoma. And I think with the confusion of changing the schemes on the defensive side for the Red Raiders, that can confuse Landry Jones and have him have a bad game. Now, I think that's going to be key for this matchup. Now, going back to Oklahoma, another key for them is that they need to get to quarterback Seth Duhey. That defense for Oklahoma is not as good as what they had last season. They are struggling getting to the quarterback. Even last week against Kansas State when they faced Colin Klein, they made a lot of mistakes, a couple of errors, and on the defensive side, they could not get to Colin Klein at all and creating any sacks or any big hurries or no turnovers, and that was key to the victory last week for Kansas State. And they really need to get to Seth Duhey in order to stop this passing attack for the Red Raiders. But I'm going to go with the Red Raiders as an upset for this week, my upset game of the week. Alright, heading close towards Saturday night, this is going to be a big game to look at. Number 9 Notre Dame is going to be facing against the Miami Hurricanes. This Hurricane team has a lot of speed, and this could be another upset alert for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But this is going to be at South Bend, and I think the Notre Dame Fighting Irish is for real. They still have a tough schedule, the toughest schedule in college football, and they're led by a great linebacker in Monte Teo, who is in my Heisman watch list, especially for the defensive side. He had a couple of interceptions this season. He's leading the team in tackles. He would definitely be all over the field. But the key for Notre Dame is that offense. They need to perform a lot better to support that defense. I think in a couple of games this season, later on in the year, as the year progresses, that defense can slouch a little bit and have a bad game. So that offense needs to step up, especially against this quick, explosive speed from the Miami Hurricanes in Miami. This is a good Miami team overall. They had a couple of good comeback victories, and this is the team that fights it to the very end. just like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but I really believe that offense needs to get things together, especially with that running game. See, Airwood, he's a good running back, but for this matchup, I'm going to go with the Fighting Irish. This is an at-home game, and I think they're going to stay alive, staying undefeated, and within the top 10 in the rankings. Big Ten showdown at 8 o'clock on Saturday. Number 21 Nebraska facing at Columbus to face the number 12 Ohio State Buckeyes and Urban Meyer. This is a good Buckeye team. Now this is going to be another upset that I'm going to call this week because of the game last week between for Nebraska and that 17-point comeback last week, and I think they could with that momentum and that inspiration, they could bring it into Columbus in this matchup, and I think they could have a good comeback victory against a good Buckeye team who kind of struggled last week against Michigan State. I believe that Nebraska is a little bit better than Michigan State, so I think Nebraska is going to pull off the upset at Columbus. So this is going to be a great game. Next game to talk about, Pac-12 matchup. Number 23 Washington is going to be traveling to Eugene to face the number 2 Oregon Ducks. Another upset alert, but I'm still going to stick with Oregon. They just have too much explosive and speed and too many weapons on the offensive side compared to Washington. But I think Keith Price can keep things together against Marcus Mariota, the Oregon quarterback. But Keith Price he just needs to be more effective on the passing game and depend more on Kasim Williams and Bishop Sankey. They need to have big games in order to beat the Oregon Ducks. But I believe that the Ducks are a little bit too much, so I'm going to have to go with Oregon in this matchup. Next game to talk about, big 12 matchup between my Texas Longhorns at Texas, number 11 team in the nation, against West Virginia. This is going to be a big, high explosive offensive showdown in this game. Now for Texas, the key for this game, they need to stop that passing game. That defense needs to step up. This could be another upset alert. Now for Geno Smith, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, build up that Heisman Trophy race, and still become that front runner for the Heisman Trophy. He needs to have another big game against a good Texas Longhorn defense. Now for this matchup, as an analyst, as a fan, I want to go with Texas, but as an analyst, I have to say West Virginia should win this matchup because their offense is more together. They need to get that running game together, but I believe that because of that passing game with Stedman Bailey and Tavon Austin, I think with the speed and quickness of these two players, I think there could be a little bit too much for my Longhorns, so I have to go with West Virginia in this matchup, but this is going to be a great Big 12 showdown. Now, my game of the week, in SEC East showdown between number 5 Georgia and number 6 South Carolina. These teams are dynamic, and I think they're a little bit underrated compared to Alabama and LSU of the SEC Conference. I really believe in this Georgia Bulldog team, but that defense needs to perform a lot better from their game last week against the Volunteers of Tennessee. They gave up 44 points, and that cannot happen in this matchup. Now, same for South Carolina. They struggled last week against Kentucky. Now, I believe that Tennessee's a better team than Kentucky, and I believe that offense is just a little bit better than on the South Carolina Gamecocks. I have to go with the Georgia Bulldogs and Aaron Murray. I think they have a good passing game with Aaron Murray leading at quarterback, and those two freshman running back, Keith Marshall and Todd Gurley, they're going to be running all over and have their game on against the Gamecocks. Even though it's going to be at South Carolina, I have to go with Georgia, and this is the reason why this is such a big game, because this is the SEC East showdown, and this could be implications of who will win the SEC East championship and make it to the SEC championship overall. But I'm going to have to go with the Bulldogs all the way in this matchup. Now, the next time I'm going to catch you guys, I'm going to try to catch you guys on Sunday to give you a recap of these games. But if I don't catch you on Sunday, I will definitely catch you on Monday. I promise you that. It's just going to be a busy weekend for me, but I will catch you either on Sunday or Monday for a recap of Week 6 of the college football season. Thank you for watching today's vlog from Pro Football Exclusive. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.